Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It's so great to see you all again live. I took the day off yesterday because my little man graduated from his PK4 class, and there's just an assortment of festivities. So I have to readjust all of my screens because we had a day of video stuff. So anyway, if you're a private member, I posted a really fun video of Gabriel's class talent show. So do check that out on the community. But welcome to all of you. Instagram, we've had a huge amount of new subscribers. So for any of you new watching, welcome. Comment down below for all of you. YouTube and Instagram are both live today. And I'm rocking my Namaste 6 Feet Away shirt. And I'm excited to bring today's video topic, which is really about you and your questions. And so I know on the daily, I get messages, emails, and even questions in our live show. So I definitely want to address those with each and every one of you. And feel free to comment. When we get to the questions, comment your questions then. So and then I can answer them specifically. And today we're going to go through our normal live show format. The first part will be based on news, and I'm covering a whole bunch of news. Also, I'm going to tell you some crazy stuff that's happened here over on Instagram and Facebook. And I'm excited. We have a video sponsor for today's show. It is called, let me grab it. It's called La La Leaf. And I want to show you this amazing, it's an antioxidant cream. So La La Leaf is a newer kind of natural beauty brand. And I've come across them more recently. And they have this formula 1513. So 1513. This is magical. So I want to share with you a little bit about how awesome this is. And I've actually been using it to address some of the allergy puffiness because it has a multitude of items in it. First of all, this brand, they won 2019 Best in Show at the Indie Beauty Expo, which is like the huge badge of honor in terms of qualifying as a natural vegan, cruelty-free brand. They also have or are free of phthalates and gluten and a lot of the harmful chemicals you really want to try and avoid, especially on your skin. And they have rosehip oil, they have carrot seed oil, and then most importantly, they have my 3-letter herbal. You guys know what I'm talking about. It starts with a C, ends with a D, and the middle initial is the second letter in the alphabet. So this is their cream. You can use this on your face and neck. It has properties. I'm just gonna put it on because I feel like I'm a little dehydrated today. Running with Gabriel, I wasn't probably as moisturized as I should have been yesterday with drinking water. But you can put this on your face in the morning and the evening. Same with the décolleté, so the neck and the chest. And it has properties to lower wrinkles, tighten up your skin. So any of you ladies who really want to kind of minimize crow's feet. It also has white willow bark. And I've mentioned this a little bit before. This is the magical plant that aspirin is derived from, and it is both pain relieving and anti-inflammatory. So it's really good for reducing the inflammation. So this is the bottle itself. This is a good size bottle. They're our video sponsor this morning. I have their website listed below. You can grab 15% off by using Dr. Melissa as your code. Oh, it's so great. And they actually have a whole bunch of other items with the 3-letter herbal botanical. You guys know I love. They have a lip balm that is magical. So do check them out. And this morning I am drinking my stress relief, stress suppressed tea. I lost the in quarantine. So it's just the funniest irony, right? I'm still in quarantine. It's just not on my mug. So welcome to all of you who are joining. Today, we're going to answer a lot of your questions. So let me go through a whole bunch of news. The world has surpassed 5 million cases. That's pretty substantial in terms of just the growth. And there are some countries we have to keep an eye on. Russia and most notably Brazil are in the 300,000 range. So Russia's at 326,000 and Brazil's at 310,000. Those countries both have surpassed the UK and Spain, and they are blowing up Brazil particularly, especially in some of the really dense populations. It's like in New York City, just outside of Rio. Those communities we're going to see an explosion in cases. So I'll be monitoring that. I'll report that to you. The US is at 1.6 million cases. Some states I want to highlight, and then there's just a whole bunch of news about the reporting, the testing. Excuse me. So we'll dig into it. But New York City's at 356, New Jersey's at 151. They're kind of at a stable level. There's still cases, but they're not in that major growth mode. Illinois, however, surpassed 100,000. So they're at 102,000 as of this morning, and Massachusetts surpassed 90,000. They're at 90,084 cases. California, Pennsylvania, Michigan, there's definitely movement in Pennsylvania and Michigan. PA is at 65,000, Michigan at 53. Texas is over the 50,000 threshold. They're at 52. Florida, let's talk about Florida. You guys know I grew up in Florida, and I have some information to share with you specifically about the town I grew up in. But Florida has 48,675 cases. And yesterday it was reported that there are 35,000 tests that have not been run by a private lab. And apparently the private lab is not accepting these tests for whatever reason. I don't know if it's a technical issue, if it's maybe their percentage of error. I don't know. But there's 35,000 tests that are just sitting there not being assessed, which is heartbreaking for all these people in Florida who've taken the test and are waiting. So we're going to monitor that. There's new reportings out of the Brookings Institute about some of the areas where there are hot spots or growth, high spread. And so I'll make sure I post this, but this is the map, and the yellow is the more recent week. So this is a cutoff, but it was May 11th through May 18th. Yeah, so this is more up to date. So the yellow is what we want to look out for. The yellow here, this is St. Petersburg, Tampa. They are in growth mode. Now, they've said several dozen cases, but we know several dozen can turn to hundreds and thousands very quickly if people are not taking the right precautions. They're also seeing in Utah, areas of California, New Mexico, really spread, all over. Just there's a lot of yellow on here. So I'll dig into that a little bit further. But that is really telling. And then we have a question mark of 34,000 cases in Florida. So it remains to be seen what all is going to happen with that. And then Maryland's at 43,000. Georgia, you guys know this is where I sit. This is where we live currently. And Georgia's at 40,000. We passed that threshold. And Gabriel and I did take a car ride on Wednesday. And you would think that the world is back to total normal here in town. And I'm laughing because it's really kind of anxiety producing and just mind-blowing that we still have a prevalence of cases. I will tell you a story. I saw a woman, apparently TJ Maxx is open. You guys know I love my TJ Maxx hauls. Like, that's one of my favorite places to burn time. And I love looking for supplements and skincare, and, you can get great stuff in there, and it's so fantastic. And so it's open. So the TJ Maxx is open, and we were just cruising through all the different areas. I drove my car, got my wheels moving and the transmission going. And we did a drive-through. I grabbed Epsom salts at Walgreens drive-through. And so we, went around, and Gabriel had a good time with me. We brought the big hamster. So Fluffy, the hamster, came with us. There was a mother, so she was shopping, coming out of TJ Maxx, crossing the road, had a shopping cart full of stuff, like house goods stuff, and had 4 daughters with her. Neither the mother nor the 4 daughters were wearing any masks. And they were young, the youngest was probably 2.5. And so, children under the age of 10, they should be wearing masks, which brings me to my story for yesterday. Instagram I actually posted a tweet from a medical doctor, and it was highlighting what I highlighted to you guys on Wednesday. I meant to post on Wednesday. I just didn't get a chance. And so I posted yesterday saying, bringing up the statistics, the study that I highlighted from Nature, peer-reviewed study based on the hamsters and the facial barriers in terms of lowering transmission. So we have more data about COVID specific with facial barriers. And I even highlight, like, if you think this is a hot topic, I had a ton of negative comments, a ton of nasty emails from people from Wednesday's YouTube video and Instagram video about how it's ridiculous and I don't know what I'm talking about. And, it's all this stuff. So I just post some commentary and then highlight the stats and data. Oh my gosh. It's on my Instagram feed. We have had like 320 people like it. It's one of the most engaged posts I've ever had. People are very much divided on this topic. And then they've gotten to a nasty point. So that Instagram, anytime I post on Instagram, I usually post also on Facebook. And Facebook, people are even more outrageously frustrated. And the anger has been directed at me. And I just won't tolerate, like, you can disagree with me. I'm totally fine. And, Pat is our moderator, Pat and Ron. They see people disagreeing all the time. I'm totally fine with that. You have the right to think differently and absorb the data differently. We're now talking about public safety, and it becomes a responsibility of all of us. But at the end of the day, if you're choosing not to follow guidelines, that's within your ability to violate. I mean, we have free will. But where we cross the line and people get nasty, and I was called rude and aggressive for highlighting data and statistics, I have to draw the line. And so just make sure, at least from my vantage point, if we're going to have dialogue, let's just make sure it's respectful. And I too have onus to be respectful to all of you. So, it just was emotionally wearing. So I just kind of stopped checking, reading the comments because it got really nasty. But the reality is we know that we can lower our spread. And if anything, what the Brookings Institute has posted, the Brookings Institute, literally, it says 80% of Americans, so 80% of you who are in America watching right now, 80% of you live in a county where the virus is actively spreading widely. Like not wildly, but widely, WIDELY. Okay, so I have some more information from the Brookings Institute. So this literally is the breakdown. It's kind of abbreviated because my printer wouldn't print the full thing. But this is a breakdown by date and just the amount of counties that have been exposed. And we're at 79% of the U.S. population are in these counties with exposure. So 80% of Americans, this is why, Instagram, I'll post it right there. This is why it's so important that we do protect ourselves. And the mask wearing is just one aspect. Wednesday's video was about the facial protection. That's critical, absolutely critical. So the other thing I want to highlight over in California, it's the end of school. It's the end of school season. And, especially for graduates, the high school graduates, my heart goes out to them. This has just been a junk year, everything that's exciting about the end of high school, prom, and all these awards ceremonies, and just the fun of like your last semester and you're already in college. And then the graduation process, it's just been altered. And one of the things that happened in California that's really alarming is this class. I want to say I think they're in Sacramento, but don't quote me on that. Again, this got blocked off, but this is a trending story right now. Class of 22, hashtag senior strong, hundreds of them gathered together for their annual class photo. And so, who knows how many of them are atypical. Many of them probably have been in quarantine, but still, this is troubling to see. And so there's going to be a lot of communication probably from and with the state of California about this and the risk factors. But I will tell you, our wedding has been postponed and we have a new date. One of our vendors, they do these, it's called cold sparklers. He actually started it in the wedding industry, but it's really fun. So instead of using fire sparklers, which you're not allowed to on properties now, it's just this like cold LED sparkle lights. It's really cool. Well, he has been posting photos, all these families down in Florida, they've been, and this is happening all over the US, they've been setting up these cute little like graduation booths, and they have like podiums, and they'll have like a backdrop and plants and whatever. And that's how families are allowing their child to experience a graduation process. I love that. And he's been apparently booking gigs with these cold sparklers to celebrate the graduation. So I like the inventiveness, and that does continue to maintain social distancing, but not one of these single kids is wearing a mask. I mean, they're not wearing masks. Look at that. It's 2020. This is not photoshopped at all. So that's really challenging. And 80% of them live in a county that's spreading. The virus is spreading in those counties. Not to spread fear, but that's the reality. There's been a recent poll that says Black and Latino Americans are 3 times more likely to know a victim of COVID-19, where it's less than 20% for a white American. And it just presents those socioeconomic differences and also the differences within the racial patterns of, not racial patterns, but the difference in terms of the communities that are hit heavily. 80%, above 80% is our percentage here in Georgia of individuals, African Americans, who have COVID-19 and are in the hospital process dealing with this. And a lot of them are frontline workers and exposed. And that is a problem that we need to address. Some other news, we had apparently the Customs and Border Patrol, they're seizing fake COVID-19 tests that are coming in on airplanes and in luggage and suitcases. And somebody brought in 1,000 test kits in suitcases, and they were caught at the border. Apparently, there's a lot of smuggling and fake test kits and materials for the test kits. Who knew? Mississippi, I think this is kind of telling given some of the news that I reported, and the CDC actually posted a specific detail of the contact tracing of a church. I believe it was in Arkansas. There was a church in Mississippi. There was a fire that was set to the church. It's an arson case. It was deliberate. And the church itself had received several citations for holding congregations and not limiting the groups of, like, there was a Bible study group that had over 10 people, it's like 18 or 20. And apparently it was somebody angry. And the message, there was a message left. Hopefully this will teach you the lesson, or, something about, well, now you won't be able to gather. And so there's a lot of deep-seated angst on both sides of the spectrum, if you believe it, that it's, a true virus. I say this is tongue-in-cheek, friends. You guys know my stance, but there's folks that believe the truth, the science, the data. This is a real virus. It's novel. We've never seen anything like this. We're still learning more about it, and all the things that follow suit, self quarantining and isolating. And then the other side of the spectrum of people who completely think this is a conspiracy, it's fake, it's a doctor that started it, it's a bioweapon, all of this nonsensical, unproven conspiracy theories. But the church community, there are a lot of church communities that are really flying in the face of traditional convention of safety. Even the CDC has specific guidelines, and they're not following them for whatever reason. But we now digitally, you can log on any time of the day. It doesn't have to be Sunday. You can log in and see church services. But, it definitely highlights this deep angst. And to get to the level of arson, there's definitely a lot of percolating angst, anger. And it's not to be condoned. That's not okay. Arson is not okay. And unfortunately, the community won't be having, I'm sure they'll figure out a way, but they're going to have to rebuild. Okay. So do know this weekend, if you are out and about, or if you are, working in any environment where they fly a flag, Saturday, Sunday, as well as Monday. So usually Memorial Day, the flags will go to half staff in honor of our veterans. So Memorial Day is the memory of all the service of the military professionals. Well, the administration has deemed that they are going to honor all of the victims and all of the frontline workers by flying the flag at half staff. So if you see, your local, in national park or, any places that are flying flags, they will be at half staff. So just FYI, that's to honor and commemorate all of you workers. And I know we have a lot on here and a lot that follow. They're nurses, they're working in COVID units, they're serving food in the cafeterias at the hospitals, they're grocery workers, they're Instacart and shipped professionals, folks working in warehouses, our mail delivery professionals, our truckers. I know a lot of you are frontline and we value you. So the flag being flown half staff is for you to honor you. So let's talk about the CDC. So I know a lot of you have a lot of angst, and I still look to the CDC as a resource. And I think the challenge that we have with the CDC is there's a lot of angst within the community of professionals and then the bureaucratic part of the community. But the CDC has flubbed, and that's a nice word to say it. They have flubbed the test recording. So they have admitted, and there's been a lot of questions leading up to, like, sometimes their numbers don't match up with some of the other databases. They have been recording the combination of the viral test as well as the antibody test. So there's the test, the nasal swab or the serum, blood or saliva that tells an individual, do you have COVID or not? So positive or negative on a COVID. That is what we should be seeing those results. They've added to that the serologic, that's the antibody testing. And when they've been reporting both of those, which heavily skews the data because a negative means different things. So on the COVID-19 test to determine, do you have an active case? Are you contagious and are you sick with this virus? It's not just exposure, like, is it in your body and your immune system is reacting? The negative test means there's no virus, like you don't have the virus. It doesn't tell us the antibodies. It doesn't tell us it is current state. The serologic is like looking at your past. Have you had exposure? Is your immune system showcased a development of antibodies? You could have been asymptomatic, but a negative in a serologic is not the same as a negative COVID test. So what's happening is this skews the potential rate of transmission. It also skews the potential rate of cases that are negative. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but there are people who don't have it, but the antibody test, if you're a negative, that's not the same as a negative COVID test. So what's happening is by combining these tests, it's adulterating and watering down the data in a way that if you are a governor or a head of the Department of Health and you're looking at your data, you're going to say, we're okay to reopen because we have all these negative tests. That's not true. You've got a combination of serologic and the viral test. So I'm going to list, there are 4 states that we need to be aware of. I live in one. It's Georgia. Georgia, Pennsylvania, Florida, and Texas. Now, if you start to look at some comparisons, Texas and Georgia were the ones that were reopening sooner than everybody else. Florida, similarly, Florida never went into lockdown mode in full totality as a state. They had kind of segmented. The mayors tend to be running the local lockdowns, like the Tampa mayor locked down the beaches, where the mayor in St. Pete or Largo or Clearwater didn't necessarily close down the beaches. So very, very different kind of localized approach. But overall, the data is skewed for those states. And so by combining the antibody testing with the actual viral testing, it's not giving the population, as the citizens, as well as the professionals making decisions on safety. And I think what is kind of telling about this is if you look at the states, so this is from the Brookings Institute. This is just literally hot off the presses. It evaluates up to Monday, week by week, and they've got a different kind of color code based on where they're seeing greater population of tests. Okay, so yellow, I'm going to try and get in here to see. Yellow here, that's Florida. St. Pete, Tampa is in that area. Texas, look, you guys have yellow over here. Pennsylvania, let's see, Pennsylvania is right here. There's yellow in Pennsylvania. Wait, hold on, yeah, right here. It's hard to see. You guys see that? Let me see. It's hard for me to see when I'm holding it up to you. I have to change my systems. I actually have this really cool system I need to learn. But that right there, there's some yellow in Pennsylvania. And then Georgia's just rocked. I mean, look at that. We've got all sorts of colors happening. And there's yellow. There is yellow in Georgia. So that's very telling. And so if you live in any of those states, it's not a bad idea to question some of the data that's being released. I highlighted last week. I don't think I've got these. Yeah, I do. I highlighted last week. I think I have only one page of this. Yeah, I highlighted last week, like this is the true data for our cases in Georgia. Now, true data meaning this is coming out of the Department of Health, not the CDC. But we know based on this information, they're using in these tests the serologic negatives as well. But these are the number of cases. So this is just on the positive side. This is the normal kind of charting. Well, Georgia started reworking the numbers. So they literally started changing. So before this came out, they changed the bottom line, this axis down here. They changed it to make it look, they changed the dates. So sometimes they do the 28th, the 26th of April, the 30th of April, May 5th. They changed it so it looked like it was a decline. So unfortunately, we do have to have a certain sense of assessing that data with the respect to the fact that there are some skewed values. Be it what it is, I still do have faith that there are still scientific professionals that have their compass pointing in the right way in terms of doing the right thing and calling out some of this. Now, I also want to highlight something I had pointed out in Florida. So on Wednesday, I highlighted that Florida, the website, the COVID dashboard was showcasing the wrong and manipulated data. And I had said that they had fired an individual for doing, I think specifically I said that, this one individual was let go on the 5th or 6th of May because she was part of it. It actually, as I dug further in, as more reporting came, she actually highlighted the state, like the actual, the director of the Department of Health is the one who called the shots to make these changes. And so certain population of data that they wanted her to pull, and she was highlighting that was not a good idea. And that highlighting got her fired. And so she may end up that might be a whistleblower case if this has been escalated, which it probably has. But I just want to highlight that it was not the one person that was responsible, it was the actual state leaders. So leadership is making these decisions to alter and manipulate data, which is unfortunate because you can take information and tweak it and change it and alter it, just like infographics, which, speaking of, before we get into questions, I want to highlight the infographic that came out yesterday that set the world on fire for parents. There were several infographics, and several of them, it's pretty obvious it was done by somebody who didn't use spell check because they literally spelled guidelines wrong. And there were bullet points, like 15 or 20 bullet points. And it was like hot off the press, just out of the CDC. This is what it's going to look like for your children in school. And the first bullet point is children 2 years or older will wear masks. And then it just went down a list of a whole bunch of stuff that the CDC has put out guidelines, but every administrative body, every school district, every principal, even within the classrooms, has to make a determination of what they're going to roll out. I am on a ton of mommy feeds. I have friends, even from like elementary, middle school, parents, like we're all still connected as, we grow and get older. And one of my friends in middle school literally was like, it was causing her to have a lot of anxiety. And I get it. And I feel for her. Having been reporting on this information, I had already printed out and read and showed you guys a few days ago that report and assessed that it was really not as specific as this infographic had highlighted. But that's the challenges. We can read the source data and read from the source and get a sense of what's being said. And much of what's coming out of the CDC, these are just guidelines. They're not laws. The government, state, local officials have to make that a requirement, or pass that, masks have to be worn. For instance, the Philippines has passed a law. You have to wear a mask. It's a law. Like now you can't skirt it. It's happening. So they went into lockdown and they passed a law to make mask wearing and protective wear critical for everyday citizens. We haven't gone that far, but the CDC is usually the source that we look to for that guidance. Well, the infographic is definitely causing a lot of panic in parents. And so if you saw it or if you see it, please do highlight the fact. And it's so important that we really educate and stop this viral spread. I mean, the social media viral spread is just as bad, if not worse, than the actual viral spread of misinformation. Misinformation is a virus as well. And so we have to inoculate ourselves and our friends and family from that. And we actually have to call out the points. And so any of those posts that I saw, I would post, here are the actual guidelines, read it and then see. And when you go into it, it really isn't like, 2-year-olds and older, your 4-year-old's going to be wearing a mask. I mean, I don't see that happening per se. It may, if we have an outbreak in an area, then yeah, that might happen. I mean, you see pictures of children in France, literally with the face guards, and they've got little masks on the face guards. I know Gabriel, he's not going to wear that. I mean, that's nearly impossible to have compliance for a 4-year-old. But, if we choose to send him to school next year, that might be a possibility. So I just put that out there. I don't know your thoughts on that, but, feel free to comment. But yeah, very, very, lots of kind of crazy news today. The minor league baseball is calling off the whole entire season. That doesn't mean that the major league baseball is calling it off, but I think it's telling that we are seeing some changes in that state. So we'll just kind of monitor and see, because I know everybody's jonesing for sports. So I want to dig into the next part of our show, but I also want to do a quick highlight to our video sponsor, La Leaf. And this is a wonderful vegan, clean, natural beauty skincare product. It has the 3-letter botanical, and it's great for reducing wrinkles. There's a ton of antioxidants in that. It's so fantastic. And they actually offer a 15% off discount if you type in Dr. Melissa in the code, and it's fantastic. So, all right. What I want to dig into are your questions, and I have a whole bunch of questions here from Instagram. And then also I posted this morning on the community tab, and we do have a series of questions. So I want to go through those. I'm going to go YouTube, Instagram, and then I'll dig into your specific questions. So, okay, we have from Sweet AG, says, she posted an hour ago. She says, Dr. Melissa, thank you for all the information you've given us. I have a question about wearing a mask when others don't. If my wearing a mask is to protect them, but they're not wearing one to protect me, what should I do? I live in Florida and many store clerks are not wearing masks. I need some minor car repairs and the manager doesn't wear one and stands inside the waiting room talking to the customers who also don't have masks. I was going back today with the thought of sitting outside for 1 to 2 hours, but it will be in the 90s today and I don't think I can handle it. So several things. The challenge is that people are not being considerate of others. And actually the big thing I got on my post yesterday is like, I did state some opinion. I feel it is selfish for people not to be wearing masks, and part of the message was, you can wear a seatbelt and a bike helmet, and other safety measures, but that that those are not living in fear, and they're also not violating your rights. But suddenly masks are an issue. I did not address the fact that masks do trigger some people and it causes anxiety. And a lot of people are saying, oh, I can't breathe. My oxygen levels go lower. And honestly, most of the time when I ask, they're not recording their oxygen levels. They just feel it. That's anxiety and panic. So that is partly a driver. And then there's a whole bunch of other things that my channel is not about that I won't go into. But in a case like this, what I would do is I would see one, and I've had some car servicing recently, so I know, one, find out if they have a way to take you, either you could go back to your house, maybe an Uber driver, but again, that's potential exposure. But, it's a challenge. I know, and I see this because actually some of my customers back in St. Pete own mechanic shops. I know that there are mechanics and other professionals in auto care that are taking this seriously. And I think one of the things that I personally am taking upon myself is I'm assessing, are these businesses taking this seriously, and are they taking measures to protect me and their other employees and customers? If they aren't, I'm going to vote with my dollar. I'm not going to support them. I'm not going to pay membership fees to be a part of their program if it's a gym or even going to shop at their retail facility currently, and certainly not after the fact if they're not going to take that seriously. And so you've witnessed already their stance on it. I would, and I don't know if your car's already there and you've dropped off the car, but I would call around and find out. There definitely should be other mechanics that are taking it seriously. And if anything, it might be worthy of telling the manager, look, I have an autoimmunity or whatever. And just say, I'm uncomfortable with the fact that you're socializing with customers. I think we need to be really clear in our communication as customers and consumers with the owners of these facilities. Some might not even realize, because it's so everyday that we don't wear masks. It's not a part of our culture. And this actually was some conversation with my friend. It's not a part of our culture, and it takes some getting used to. And so, I don't know that situation with the manager, but it's definitely something where, like a car repair company, they might not be really tuned in to the fact about public safety. It's just, they were working on cars and it just might not really, I know that sounds, it's not an excuse, but it might just not occur to them. But I think if you highlight it and then see what their response is. So that would be my offer to you. Okay. Cassandra the Great says, is Botox okay to get? Is it safe? Your thoughts? No, I'm not a big fan of Botox. It's literally a biotoxin. It's been used for headaches and migraines. That's just an after effect of what they find, just kind of freezing your muscles. Not a fan of it. I don't like any of those fillers, even some of the natural ones. I would much prefer like this, our video sponsor, La Leaf, in using natural botanicals to help fill in fine lines and wrinkles. Also doing facial yoga, gua sha, and lymphatic therapies, and even more intense, like I've done lasers. I've done some of the more intense tightening. I feel like that's a much more natural approach, just enhancing your own collagen. Not a big fan. Okay, so Lori P, What is the best way to take FSOI by itself with food? What time of day? So I like FSOI honestly in the evening, just after dinner or right before bed. The dim is really good for easing hot flashes, especially at night. Maca is great for calming and de-stressing the body. A lot of times people actually have more cortisol producing at night. And so the maca balances and reduces that, as it's an adaptogenic herb. So that would be what I recommend. Okay, so life. Okay, so Millie 8582. Life after chemo and radiation. What's a good detox? That's excellent. So the big question that I have is what type of cancer? Where was the radiation? What's the radiation effect? What does the skin look like that was radiated? And where are you at in terms of how far out from a no cancer diagnosis? So those are questions that you have to begin with. The other thing too is how many chemo treatments did you have? What was your body's reaction to the chemo? Some are on milder chemos and others, full hair loss and all sorts of other things happen. So I would say with chemo and radiation, before you do any detoxing, you need to nourish. And so it's all about nourishing and leveling up and optimizing all your micronutrients, all your coenzymes, particularly CoQ10, leveling up all your minerals and enzymes, and just really support all of the necessary building blocks. Vitamin D, get that optimized, and that's going to take months. But before you detox, detoxing is tough on the body. And a lot of people think, oh, I just need to detox. But if you detox and you're not nourished and your routes of elimination are not open, you will make yourself sick. And a lot of people have that effect and they're like, oh, detoxing is bad. I never want to do that. But definitely after chemo, the first step before any type of detox is to nourish and support. Supportive care is most important because your body's been through the ringer and your cells have definitely gone through major oxidation. So definitely major antioxidants, moringa and grapeseed extract. I would definitely increase your vitamin C's and vitamin B's. I would also enhance your chaga, your lion's mane, using some of the good herbs to really bolster and support the body. Okay, so Sweet AG, another question. Also with black seed oil, people are not, YouTube's not big on that. Help for joint pain, knees as a direct rubbing of the oil on my skin. I actually like the 3-letter botanical. There's a level 4 that we sell here in the clinic. We actually had a little bit of a stock issue and it's back in stock. So if you guys have ordered, those things are being pushed out today and tomorrow. I would use that instead of the BSO. Okay, let's see. Lil Lori 77. How does sugar affect your adrenal glands and cause anxiety? So sugar, and this includes carbohydrates, the complex and simple carbs that turn to sugar. Sugar is an excitotoxin. Essentially, it excites the system. It excites the central nervous system, which floods insulin, and it causes a lot of challenges with the cortisol. In that, you have blood sugar imbalances, cortisol gets kicked up. It causes inflammation, oxidative stress. Sugar, unfortunately, and I've dealt with this, when I've had adrenal imbalances, my body typing, I go to sugar and I go to caffeine. Those are like the 2 go-tos that my body's like, we need a hit of energy. Sugar tends to be the alternative to energy. And a lot of times when you're reaching towards sugar and caffeine, it's because the adrenals need to be fully nourished. And so a lot of times that could be adrenal fatigue or adrenal burnout. An adrenal glandular is a good idea. And then also adding in very strong adaptogens. I talk about rhodiola and holy basil. That's actually what I'm drinking in my tea here. So I would start with that. Margaret Stockton says, you mentioned using a Berkey system without a filter. Which one is it? Berkey systems are filters. So it does have filtration. You can add in like additional chlorine, depending on what type of water source you have, you can even filter out all of the chlorine or other contaminants, like if you have well water or whatever. Also, you said selenium will shrink or do away with nodules, cysts, and a goiter. Is that true for an autoimmune Hashimoto's? Absolutely. 200 mcgs of selenium, very, very powerful. I actually have a dissolvable, it's like a little, it's not a lozenge, but it's like this little dissolvable tab. I have one every day. And I mean, I had been diagnosed in my 20s with, a nodule. I even had a hot cyst that had to get aspirated. I mean, I've been down the ringer with thyroid stuff. And it's very common. O blood types I'm an O. We often have thyroid challenges. And with Hashimoto's, eliminate gluten, eliminate dairy, and really work on lowering your inflammatory levels and healing your gut. The gut there's a big component, but yeah, selenium's really, really, really key. I love that stuff. Ebbers, Ebberrs, acne and vaginal discharge, smells of yeast. What should I do experiencing this 1 year? So all of that showcases the likelihood of an assorted digestive flora bacterial imbalance. I have to check my, Instagram. My cell phone's on low battery, so we'll get through this and be okay. But so I would support your digestive and vaginal flora with good, healthy probiotics, and I would use a probiotic enzyme blend. And I'll link this. Let's see, let me write it down. There is a combination of enzymes and probiotics that you can take on an empty stomach at night that'll help create balance. But this is, if it's been chronic for a year, it's not going to immediately resolve, but it can over time. So just hang in there and definitely address it from supporting the digestive process. Judy Gutierrez. Hey, Judy. She says, I've been trying to schedule a virtual appointment, but all dates are taken. Is that right? Yes. So also today is now a day without school, and I am working from home. The clinic's not open. And I am first and foremost a mom. And so I'm trying to figure out, how does my scheduling allow for me to open up? We also had to reschedule a whole bunch of appointments and stuff from before that I'm still kind of dealing with. So I don't know yet. And I don't know what I'm calling. Monday kicks off mommy camp, and I've got to put together a plan of attack of how to get Gabriel still engaged and also balance work. So then I'm trying to figure out. I don't have any details. It's probably going to take me a little bit of time. Brian might be going back to work in the middle of June. So I don't know. But hang in there. We'll figure it out. Okay. So Mango Mia says, I just ordered some filter material from Filty. Is that safe to breathe? I don't know. I have to look into that. And I will tell you, I don't read your question. I see your questions, but I don't digest them for the answer. So I want to make sure I'm live in my communication. So I don't know. I'd have to look into that. But your 5-layer carbon filter is really good. Like these I have to get on my website. I'm a little lagged, friends. I'm sorry. Okay. So I think that was it on YouTube. Instagram, Ronwin Kotonga. I know I always say your name wrong. Sorry. What are your favorite remedies, oils, herbs, etc., for focus and mental clarity? Okay, for sure. Number one, rhodiola. Rhodiola. I love this. And this is what is in my tea. Rhodiola is a Siberian ginseng. It's an herb that has been probably the most studied herb, and has been used for addressing mental and physical fatigue, but mental focus. Love rhodiola. I also love ginkgo biloba. So ginkgo biloba is one of those herbs that will help bring in nutrients into the brain. It passes the brain barrier and can nourish the brain. Now, peeling that back further, I would want to assess, how are your vitamin D levels? So are you optimal in D? Because mental focus can be definitely a D deficiency factor if you have lack of it. Also adrenals. Adrenals play a big role in the neurotransmitters. So the neurotransmitters are a factor. So those would be things I would address. But remedies for sure. adaptogenic herbs, holy basil, but for sure rhodiola. I also love lion's mane and chaga. Those are two other ones that are my favorite. And then if you're feeling like mental exhaustion, like emotional exhaustion, never hesitate to reach to the Bach flowers. And it literally, like, this is my new bottle. You just spray, and it's got a little, there is alcohol in here. It's got like a little brandy taste. It's not anything that would hurt you, but that's a delivery method. They also have alcohol free for anybody who wants that, but I love that. And Rama Drona says, breast fibroids medicine, please tell me, madam, and castor oil on breast. Tell me, I'm from India. Okay. So, breast fibroids, I have a whole breast, it's called the Booby Care course. It's an extensive program. There's 26 different lessons in it. I provide video tutorials of breast massage, castor oil packing, list of items that you would want to take, breast supportive supplementation. That is extensive in terms of turning around fibroids in the breast tissue or any type of breast-related imbalances. Oh, sorry. The dogs are going to bark because there's a dog walking around. It looks like the neighbor. Oh, a neighbor got a new puppy. Okay. Sorry, you guys. We love puppies. So I would definitely check that out. And then I also have a breast health playlist here on YouTube that has a multitude of specific video content. So you can get really in-depth details there. Okay. So let me just check my battery life. Okay. I've got 6% on my cell phone. So we'll keep going. That was from Instagram. So I'm going to take some questions over here on YouTube. Let me just move this. And if you guys love this format, like all the questions and answers, please give me a thumbs up, hit the share. Okay, let's see. Going back. Okay, all right. So let's see. Here are some questions. Okay. Marietta McCune. Hey, Marietta. Okay, good morning. I would like to know what is causing me to get a strange feeling in my throat every time I go out and wear those masks. Is there a limit of how long the mask should be worn? That's an excellent question. So, and I actually, yesterday's post, I had a lot of healthcare workers, essential workers who are like, I'm wearing this 8+ hours. So do know that every mask may have some different material in it that could cause you an allergic reaction. And also how you got it, you want to make sure that you wash it. I really like to wash all of our items. Like I washed Gabriel's baby clothes, like in really clean laundried items. And that's really critical because you think you're inhaling all of that. It could be a phthalate that could be causing you, some of the tickle. So it could very well be, it could be simply as changing out your laundry detergent. If you have a mask that you would wash. If it isn't, then it could very well be some of the material from, the mask itself. I do know that some of the masks that are antibacterial are really beneficial, but then the antibacterial aspect of that material can cause a reaction. And you can also get, I know a lot of people want me to address the acne that occurs or like the sebum buildup. I totally have plans for that. Let's see. Basketball fan. Can you get selenium from mushrooms enough with reishi? I prefer not taking tabs. So I would do a combination of food, nuts and seeds, and I would also look at a liquid multi-mineral. Okay. Oops. Let's see here. Let me go to some questions. Okay. On the comments mentioned, proper way to mask, proper way to put on, especially tack off. What do you think? That's excellent. So I need to do a specific video about this because, what you want to kind of do is you want to get it on and then minimally have to adjust and deal with it. So, you might go through 3 or 4, and I ordered a whole bunch of different masks just to see what worked and what I liked. I have a long, narrow face. And so everybody's face type is a little bit different. Some masks might fit you better than others, depending on who made it, whatnot. So you just have to find one that works and fits better and is comfortable. And this is one of those things, test it out. You might be feeling a little anxious because it might not fit right. The fit is critical. It's like, people equate masks to wearing underwear. So Are we constantly adjusting and touching our underwear? No. Do we want it to be clean? We want it to be, not soiled. And so, a lot of people are like, you're rebreathing in, your germs, and you're going to infect yourself, and there's mold. And well, yes, if you wear it over and over again and not wash it or sanitize it. And so there's a lot of different ways to sanitize masks. There's UV, there's cleaning, but definitely have a pair and a spare or more. So pair and a spare meaning wearing one and you have an extra one that you could switch out. But definitely I want to dig further into that in a more in-depth, because I think I need to demo that, and I don't have my mask in front of me. In Harmony Gal, wouldn't a negative antibody test mean a person probably has not had COVID-19? Well, that's a good question, because we do know that some of these antibody lab vendors, they're getting false negatives. And so it depends on the accuracy of that private lab. So no, that unfortunately that would not ask that. Let's see. Did CDC change how long virus lives on surfaces? They actually had some communication recently. I want to say it was yesterday about the surface, but nothing's different than what I've reported, so I didn't pull it. I will say that the CDC tends to be slower to put out data now, and that seems to be, from what I'm seeing and hearing, we saw this, it took 2 weeks for them to put out that 60-page guideline for businesses and schools. It's taking them a lot longer to get stuff out. And so you can read and see the research that they're basing these findings on, but then the bureaucracy of it's got to go up, and then it comes down, it gets altered. They're not the most speedy in terms of releasing data. So, and that's why I'm trying to report straight out to you guys. And usually they kind of come along a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later with some of that info. Okay, so let's see. Let me look at my Instagram. Okay, 4%. Okay, so we're going to go about 4 more minutes on Instagram. And then if you guys just want to move over to YouTube, and I'll continue on for a little bit. And then I've got fun day with Gabriel planned. Okay, so Dwayne, hey Dwayne, besides strep for second time trip to ER and I have candidiasis, if that's because of a weakened immune system, should I increase D3 to 25,000 IUs? So the question is, did they run your vitamin D levels? Do you know your levels? Vitamin D can be helpful. Zinc can be helpful. I would definitely look at an oral probiotic. So an oral probiotic would be what I would do and have out there. Sharon says, what about reishi mushrooms and tea for immunity and anxiety? Yes, reishi is beneficial. I like reishi. On the mental focus thing, that's why I go with rhodiola. But definitely for sure, reishi is definitely part of an immune component. There's just a whole assortment of immune modulators and immune regulators. And even, for instance, Lala Leaf, the 3-letter botanical that I love, the C and then the D, second letter of the alphabet, middle initial. That is both, topically a very good immune booster. So good for any type of skin, skin reactions, eczema, psoriasis, even acne on the skin. That botanical is very powerful at anti-inflammatory and balancing the immune system. But also internally, it's an immune modulator. So immune modulation is big. Lion's mane, chaga, all of those are hugely beneficial. And yeah, Lois is experiencing the breakouts on the chin, very common. Is there one particular supplement for candida? I'm going crazy with the diet with no comfort foods and cravings. So the cravings is definitely potentially the candida trying to hold on. It's trying to get energy. What I would do is I would remove, I do a biofilm reducer, and you can grab that. I have several in Fullscript. So just log in, type in biofilm, get a biofilm reducer, and then take a 34, 35 strain powder probiotic on an empty stomach at night. And that will definitely change. It'll address that. But that's part of the die-off. Okay, so we've got 1:30 on YouTube. Okay, Holly. Hey, Holly. She says, hello from Vermont. I've always taken meds for hypothyroidism an early AM before blood testing. Have recently heard from a naturopathic endocrinologist it's beneficial to test without meds. Absolutely. So a lot of times they want your testing level, your fasting levels without the influence of medication, because the medication is trying to drive down those levels. We want to see what your body's natural production looks like. So, one morning of missing a medication is not going to be harmful. But yes, I definitely want to see without the influence of blood pressure, blood sugar, thyroid pill, anti-inflammatory, any of those when we're going in. Same thing for any of you I know a lot of you have other autoimmune challenges and you're taking an autoimmune medication. Don't take that before your blood work, because we want to see your true ANA. We want to see the true antibody levels. Oh, Holly, you're the best. Thank you. The Real Charlie Orange. What do we do if we have PCOS? What are some natural health resources? I actually have, let's see. Oh no, our Instagram just totally shut them off. Oops. Okay. My phone's going to die. So I was mentioning PCOS. I actually deal with that and have dealt with that pretty much my whole entire life. I have a protocol that I've created that is highly beneficial. This is for any individuals that are challenged with having irregularity or challenged with the symptoms of it, as well as any of the infertility. I actually have a protocol that really addresses all of that. So that would be something I'd recommend to download. Let's see, Lori. Hey, Lori, let's see. Is there one particular supplement for candida? Oh, okay. So I already answered that. I'm sorry. Basketball fan. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Shelly Ace. Slowly increase what could do. Okay. So, if you have bumps or any type of raised rashes or anything like that on the arms, a lot of times back here, under here, sometimes around the elbow, and for you, the palms of your hands. I would want to look at any of the chemicals that you're using in skincare, lotions, what you're, using detergents that you might be washing dishes with, everyday use items. I'd start to eliminate some of those toxins that can cause irritation and inflammation and weakened immunity. And then I'd make sure you're wearing gloves if you are washing dishes and things like that. But a lot of times that particular aspect is inflammatory related, and we have to heal the gut. Okay, so candida, is there one particular supplement? No, well, it's so specific to each individual's body the microbiota, that there are an assortment of them, but I would first search biofilm and then look at, it's Garden of Life raw probiotic. It's a red powder. It's like I think it's 5 or 7 days. That stuff's magical. Get 2 of them. They'll ship it to you with a freezer pack. And that would be what I would start off with first. And I don't know anything about your situation, and that would be obviously necessary to dig even further to get you specific, but stool sampling and testing like that also gives us more info. Is it too much of depression of cortisol? Oh, hi, Melissa. Okay, so Anga. Dr. Melissa, I get headache and lose motion from Reloraplex and Stress Adapt-T. Is it too much? So this is what I think is most important. If you do have symptoms, and like the Reloraplex will reduce cortisol, but only reduces it to like a balanced level. What I would say is it would be most important to assess and test your values of cortisol. And when you actually do a saliva sample, you stay away from supplements for 3 days or so. And then we test your saliva, very similar to Holly's question over on Instagram about the Hashimoto's thyroid medication. So I find that that's most critical is assess, get your values. And if you want to do a test through me, I think I have a link down below, but we send you the test kit, you send it to the lab sends you the results, and then you can email me or, text me, and I could look at those and give you some recommendations. Cause it definitely is important for us to notate where your values are. Christine, hey, Christine. Okay, Christine DM'd me the other day after our Wednesday video of wearing goggles. And I've got this beautiful picture of her in her seat, the cute little shirt on. Let's see. She flew Thursday on American filled flight. 85% of the flight was filled. She said rows of 3 were full. Every other row, just the middle seat empty if they were lucky. That's insane. So they crammed the folks in, and unfortunately, there's great potential of risk there. And so she was being really diligent. I'm so proud of you, Christine. Thanks for taking my advice, and I hope you're having a great time with your grandkids. Okay. Let's see. Basketball fan. Tracing. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Charlie Orange. Oh, hey, Charlie. Okay. So Charlie Orange is on. Will you do a live about PCOS? I can. I actually have several videos about PCOS, and it cut off. Like it gave me 23 seconds, and then it just, I don't know, I just cut it off. I have a digital download for PCOS, and I've dealt with that. And so I definitely check that out. And I do have several PCOS related videos that get more specific, but there's definitely inflammation and immune dysregulation. So it's deeper. We have to go deeper than just one organ at a time. We have to look at the whole entire system. Okay. Let's see. Anga, parakeets are doing great. Let's see. We have lots of birds outside. I think the babies are starting to come out. So I hear little birds. We had an owl the other morning hooting, like all the birds wake up, they chirp, and then all of a sudden the owl is out and like they're all quiet. It's kind of crazy. Okay. Marietta, I was referring to a Curad antiviral face mask. Oh yeah. Yes. So definitely, I think there's some allergy there. I would go, honestly, like, I would go like Sarah's mask, and I put that back in my purse. Sarah's mask, 2 layers, insert, definitely safe. And then you get control over how you're cleaning it and get to. She actually has cute little bunny ones. She's a big bunny adopter. JP So, hey JP, can you talk about air conditioning in office buildings? Yes. So air conditioning, that's a big question. That's actually a question we brought up to Gabriel School. Like, what are you guys going to do about the air? Are you going to stop UV? Like, what's going on? We do know that there has been just minor research out of China. There was one person who was in a restaurant. The air filtration, they feel, had spread the virus to the other individuals in the restaurant. They weren't seated near the individual, but they all traced back to the one individual them all being in this one space together. And they linked that air transmission. So in that type of setting, and I'm waiting for some of my product to come in. I'm going to do a very descriptive UV video. My UV video got pulled by YouTube. I don't even know why, other than I think the title was a little risky. I posted, UV filtration reduces or kills corona. I can't say kills, but reduces coronavirus within 30 seconds. And like the video got killed. It was pulled. So I definitely would look at UV, running the aromatherapy and filtration. There's a lot that you can do, and I'm waiting because I've got a whole bunch of stuff coming to me that I'm going to video for all of you and kind of detail and set up like a mock office of like all the things you could get, like even like, oh, my light's not on, but the salt lamps and things like that. Oh, Pat, are you going to get a new kitty cat? If you do, I want to see pictures. Let's see. We lost Welly over a year ago now. And I'm still not ready. We had 2 kitties and when we moved up here, and then my one was terminal when we moved. And then Welly, the younger of the 2, he was so lonely, it like broke his poor little heart. But there's part of me that's ready to get another one. But we'll see if next year turns out to be a nice year where we can actually do all the things we had planned this year. In summer in Germany and all that happens, we'll probably look at getting one after that. We'll be getting a gerbil probably before then. So fun times. Gabriel's probably going to call him Fluffy. He's probably going to be a golden hamster. Okay, 2 new salt lamps. Yay, we love salt lamps. Yeah, Lois, they're really censoring big time. So you guys all watch and my community watches, but they are not pushing any of my content out. But luckily, somehow by the magic of it, and which, by the way, this is our 501st video. So this is my 501st video here on YouTube. Wednesdays was the 500th video. So out of the lives, this is my 67th live show. It's just craziness. So YouTube, I'm not getting censored like I was before. I don't have to fight it. I honestly think these poor guys did not want to have to watch my hour-long videos. But they're also not pushing the content out. And part of it, really, there was a like clamp down because of that pandemic. It triggered this whole new algorithm change. So, but it is what it is. Oh, and I have to share this with you guys. So my Mother's Day gift arrived this week, and I have to share this because I'm going to post a link and there's 15% off. Brian and Gabriel made this. Isn't this cute? This is the same on the other side, but this came from, I think, Zazzle, and he's got all these pictures. Isn't that cute, little Gabriel? And our summer vacation last year. And then our puppy. This is when we had Daisy as a little puppy dog. My little man. And our girls. This is when we left Florida. And Gabriel when he was a little baby. And look at how cute he was. So this is my Mother's Day gift. Zazzle has a ton of Father's Day gifts. And in fact, I think these are great for any of our loved ones that are older, grandparents, or anybody who you can do blankets and really fun things for, just to let them know you love them and give them pictures of their loved ones. So check out the link. And they've got apparently they have 15% off everything. So do check it out. Some of their outdoor pillows are up to 50% off, but I'm now using it as my pillow and it's perfect. It's really thick. So I love stuff like that. I have my little mouse pad that I did for Brian and I a while back ago. This was a while back ago. Isn't this cutest little baby? So anyway, those are so fun, super special, but definitely with Father's Day coming up and just anytime. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, super, super fun. Your electrolyzer came yesterday. Yay. A neighbor received it who does not want to wear master gloves. Oh, geez, Deb. I have to quarantine. I'm so sorry. That's my fear, is having our guys deliver to the wrong house. Luckily, they are delivering. They know us. Plus, I have all the snacks. So they all come up, and I'm so grateful. Which, by the way, for any of you animal owners, we ran out of dog food. I did a whole dog food stock up before the same time I did my Trader Joe's and Aldi haul, way back in March. I stocked up on dog food, knowing that, oh my gosh, what are we going to do if the dogs run out of food? And we ran out, and Brian's like, oh, we're out of food. After he gave them all of the food. So we were literally out, and I checked out Instacart. Instacart they really jack up the prices, but then you have the delivery fee and the tip and everything. But PetSmart, which is where we get a lot of the kind of grain-free and cleaner foods, they do a delivery service. And so I could still get my points and do all of that, and was super excited. So just FYI, check out online. Sometimes there's better pricing, and I didn't pay a fee. I think I paid $5, and then I got a whole bunch of bonus points and used bonus points. And so the dogs now have 80 pounds of food, and we're good for a little while. So just a little tip for all of you, because that's definitely a factor. And anyway, so you guys, I'm here in my little man. I've got to run. I will see you all tomorrow. Facebook's going to go live tomorrow. I'm going to do a poll here on YouTube about tomorrow's topic and have you all vote. So if you like this, give me a thumbs up. Thanks for joining me. I'm so excited to see you. And thanks for all your questions. Have a great day. Bye.